In 1986, the first successful use of DNA evidence in a criminal trial occurred in the United Kingdom in the case of Colin Pitchfork, who was convicted of 2 murders based largely on the DNA he left behind. DNA matching is more reliable than fingerprinting, and that's because with fingerprinting there's still the possibility of false positives and false negatives because you're often dealing with partial, smudged, or degraded fingerprints. DNA evidence is generally considered to be very accurate, but there have been cases of mistakes and errors in the handling and processing of evidence samples. Like all investigative tools, it requires competent law enforcement and properly trained lab officials. When I think of DNA matching gone wrong, the case of Lucas Anderson comes to mind. He was a homeless man who was arrested for the murder of a wealthy Silicon Valley entrepreneur. The prosecution's case relied heavily on DNA evidence that was found on the victim's fingernails. That DNA was later identified as belonging to Lucas Anderson. The problem is that the DNA evidence had been contaminated by a paramedic who had treated Lucas on the same night as the murder, and the DNA was inadvertently transferred from the paramedic's gloves to the victim's fingernails. Lucas was eventually exonerated, but not before going through a nightmare of being framed by a murder by his own DNA. To be clear, the problem is not with DNA matching, but with human error associated with the handling of evidence. And that's what happened. Have a great day and be cool.